Welcome back, you beautiful curse breakers, you impossible anomalies who weren't supposed to wake up. They spent a century on you. Did you know that? 100 years of carefully woven intention, bloodlines dedicated to your downfall, rituals performed in basements you'll never see, names spoken in circles you were never invited to. They passed the spell down like a family heirloom, grandmother to mother to daughter, each generation adding another layer, another thread, another lock on your potential. And then you did something they never calculated into their equations. You thought differently, just once, just for a second. And the whole damn thing collapsed like a house of cards in a hurricane. They're still trying to figure out what the hell happened, still rewinding the footage, still asking each other how 100 years of crafted darkness got erased by someone who wasn't even paying attention. Let me tell you what they don't want you to understand about curses, about spells, about the energetic chains they've been wrapping around bloodlines for generations. They're not indestructible. They're not eternal. They're frequency locks, consciousness traps, designed to work only as long as you stay on their wavelength. The moment you shift, the moment you elevate, the moment you think a thought they didn't program into you, the whole structure starts glitching. And you didn't just glitch the system. You control, plus Z'd that garbage back to the void it crawled out of. While they were chanting in circles, you were laughing at a meme. While they were burning candles with your name carved in wax, you were eating breakfast and deciding you didn't care anymore. And that right there, that indifference, that shift in frequency, it shattered a century of work in less time than it takes to blink. They thought you were trapped, didn't they? They watched you struggle, watched you fight invisible weight, watched you carry burdens you couldn't name. They smiled when you failed, nodded when you fell, celebrated quietly when you stayed down just a little bit longer each time. Because in their minds, the spell was working perfectly. You were contained, controlled, walking the path they carved for you with their rituals and their hatred and their fear of what you might become. But here's what they didn't account for in all their planning, in all their centuries of preparation. They didn't account for the possibility that you might just stop playing, that you might wake up one morning and decide their game wasn't worth your energy anymore, that you might look at the invisible chains and say, not today, not ever again, and mean it with every fiber of your being. You know what's hilarious about people who spend their entire lives trying to curse others? They forget that intention is a boomerang, that energy always returns to its source, that every ounce of hatred they sent your way was building their own prison cell. While they were focused on you, on keeping you small, on maintaining the spell, their own lives were rotting from the inside out. Their relationships crumbled, their health deteriorated, their minds became playgrounds for the very demons they tried to send into your dreams. And you were over here healing in silence, growing in the dark, becoming something they never predicted. You were supposed to break, supposed to beg, supposed to come crawling back to their reality, begging for scraps of relief. Instead, you evolved past their frequency entirely. And now they can't even touch you because you're operating on a level their rituals were never designed to reach. Let's talk about what a 100-year spell actually looks like in practice, because they romanticize it, don't they? They make it sound mystical, powerful, unbreakable. But in reality, it's pathetic. It's generations of bitter people sitting in the dark, burning herbs they mispronounced, drawing symbols they don't understand, calling on forces they can't control, all because they couldn't stand the idea of you being free. It's grandmothers teaching daughters how to hate someone they've never met. It's family trees, where the roots are poisoned with envy and the branches bear fruit that tastes like resentment. It's an entire lineage dedicating itself to your downfall because somewhere, somehow, someone in your bloodline threatened their illusion of power, and for 100 years, it worked, sort of. You felt it, didn't you? That weight, that fog, that sense that something was always just slightly wrong, just slightly off, like you were living life through a filter you couldn't remove. But then something shifted, and they felt it too. They felt the spell crack. They felt their carefully constructed web start to dissolve. They gathered in emergency sessions, tried to reinforce the working, poured more energy into the ritual, but it was too late. You'd already seen through it. You'd already recognized that the voice in your head telling you that you weren't enough, that you'd never make it, that you were cursed to fail, wasn't your voice at all. It was theirs, echoing through time, bouncing off the walls they built in your mind. And the moment you recognized it, the moment you saw it for what it was, interference instead of truth, manipulation instead of destiny, it lost all its power. Because curses only work on people who believe in them, and you stopped believing. You didn't even make a big declaration about it. You just quietly, calmly decided that their narrative wasn't yours anymore. Now let me tell you what happened in their circles, when your frequency shifted, when you broke free without even acknowledging the cage. Panic, absolute chaos, because their instruments stopped working. The tarot cards gave contradictory readings. The scrying mirrors showed static. The pendulums swung erratically, refusing to settle on an answer. They tried to track you energetically and got nothing, like you'd vanished from their radar completely. And in a way, you had, because you weren't operating on the same plane anymore. You'd ascended past their reach, not through some elaborate counter-ritual, not through fighting fire with fire, but through the simple act of choosing yourself, of prioritizing your peace, of refusing to carry weight that was never yours to begin with. They spent 100 years building a prison for you, and you walked out by realizing the door was never actually locked. The funniest part, the part that absolutely destroys them, is that you didn't even know you were doing it. You weren't studying counter curses. You weren't lighting candles with their names. You weren't performing elaborate cleansing rituals. You were just living, just healing, just choosing better thoughts. And that was enough. That was more than enough. It was everything. Because what they never understood, what they'll never understand, is that conscious thought is the most powerful force in existence. It rewrites reality. It collapses timelines. It dissolves energetic contracts that were signed before you were born. One thought, genuinely felt, genuinely believed, genuinely embodied, can undo centuries of darkness. And you had that thought. You felt it in your bones. You knew with absolute certainty that you were done being their experiment, their target, their victim, and the spell, all 100 years of it, turned to dust. They're still trying to figure out what you did, still searching for the ritual you must have performed, the magic you must have learned, the protection you must have purchased from someone more powerful than them. They can't comprehend that you did nothing, that your weapon was awareness, that your shield was indifference, that your counterattack was simply refusing to engage. They built their entire operation on the assumption that you'd fight back, that you'd meet their energy with equal and opposite force, that you'd play their game. But you didn't fight, you didn't engage, you didn't even acknowledge the battlefield. You just stepped into a different reality entirely, one where their spells don't exist, where their intentions don't penetrate, where their century of work is less than irrelevant. It's invisible. And now they're the ones trapped, stuck in a reality they created to harm you, drowning in the energy they meant for someone who's no longer there. You want to know the real kicker? The part that makes this absolutely poetic? While they were spending 100 years focused on stopping you, on limiting you, on keeping you contained, you were quietly becoming exactly what they feared. Not through rebellion, not through fighting them, but through the simple act of evolution. Every obstacle they placed in your path made you more adaptable. Every curse they sent made you more resilient. Every binding they attempted made you more fluid. They tried to create a cage and accidentally built you a training ground. They tried to poison your potential and accidentally immunized you against every toxin the world could throw at you. They wanted to make you weak and sculpted something that can't be broken by conventional means. Congratulations to them, truly, because their hatred, their obsession, their century-long dedication to your destruction, it backfired so spectacularly that you should probably send them a thank you card. Let's go deeper into the mechanics of what actually happened, because this isn't mysticism, this is physics, frequency, consciousness operating according to laws that most people never learn. A curse, any curse, is essentially an energetic pattern, a thought form given power through repetition and emotion, sustained by the attention of whoever cast it. It exists in a specific frequency range, targeting specific vulnerabilities, designed to interact with specific states of consciousness. And for 100 years, you matched that frequency often enough for the spell to have traction. Your doubts fed it. Your fears gave it substance. Your moments of weakness provided entry points. But consciousness isn't static. It's fluid. It's constantly evolving. And at some point, yours shifted. Maybe it was trauma that forced you to evolve. Maybe it was exhaustion that made you let go. Maybe it was a moment of clarity where you just saw the truth. Doesn't matter how it happened. What matters is that your frequency changed. And the moment your frequency changed, the spell lost its anchor point. Imagine a radio station broadcasting on 95.3, and you're the receiver tuned to that exact frequency, picking up every word, every song, every advertisement they send out. That's what the curse was. A broadcast designed specifically for you, transmitted on a frequency calibrated to your pain, your doubt, your struggle. But then you changed the station. Not deliberately, not as a defense mechanism, just naturally. As part of your growth. You started operating on 100.7, then 115.2, then frequencies that don't even have numbers because they're beyond the range their instruments can measure. And suddenly, you're not picking up their broadcast anymore. They're still transmitting, still pouring energy into the spell, still performing the rituals, but you're not receiving it. The message is being sent into a void, hitting nothing, affecting no one, dissolving into the static. They don't know how to process this, don't know how to explain to each other that a century of work just evaporated because the target changed the channel. They're used to people fighting back, used to spiritual warfare, used to elaborate battles where both sides throw energy at each other until someone breaks. They're not used to someone just opting out, just walking away, just deciding that the entire conflict is beneath their attention, and that indifference, that refusal to engage, it's the most devastating counter you could have possibly deployed, because they need your fear to feed the spell, need your awareness of it to give it power, need your resistance to justify their continued effort. When you stopped caring, when you stopped even acknowledging that there might be something to fight against, you starved the spell of everything it needed to survive. 100 years of carefully maintained energy, gone. Not because you destroyed it, but because you stopped feeding it. Now they're sitting in their circles, staring at candles that won't stay lit, reading signs that make no sense, trying to understand what happened to their masterpiece. And here's the beautiful irony. The thing that's slowly driving them into their own madness. They can't stop now. They can't just walk away from 100 years of investment, 100 years of family legacy, 100 years of purpose. So they keep trying, keep casting, keep performing rituals that hit nothing but empty air. And every failed attempt, every spell that fizzles, every ritual that produces no results, it's eating away at them, making them question everything they thought they knew about energy, about power, about their own abilities. You didn't just break free, you broke their confidence, broke their faith in their own practice, broke the very foundation of their identity. They defined themselves as the ones who controlled you, who kept you down, who maintained the curse. Without that, who are they? What's their purpose? What's their legacy now? Meanwhile, you're over here living your life, completely unaware that there's a group of people having existential crises because you decided to be happy. You're not thinking about curses, not worrying about protection, not looking over your shoulder. You're just existing in your new frequency, your elevated state, your upgraded consciousness. And that's what makes this so perfect, because you didn't win by being stronger than them. You won by being indifferent to them. You didn't overcome the spell through superior magic. You transcended it through superior consciousness. They're still playing checkers, still thinking in terms of attack and defense, offense and protection. You're not even on the game board anymore. You're in a completely different dimension, operating according to completely different rules. Rules they don't have access to because they're still bound by the very hatred that they tried to bind you with. Let me paint you a picture of what they're experiencing right now, because it's important that you understand the magnitude of what you've done. Even accidentally, even unconsciously. Imagine spending your entire life, and your mother's entire life, and her mother's entire life, all working toward one singular goal. Imagine that goal being the center of your family's identity, the core of your practice, the foundation of your purpose. Now imagine waking up one day and realizing that goal just vanished. Not because someone fought you for it, not because you were defeated in battle, but because the target of all your efforts simply evolved past your ability to affect them. That's where they are right now, staring into the abyss of their own irrelevance, grappling with the reality that 100 years of focused intention couldn't compete with one person's decision to choose differently. And it gets worse for them, because they can't even blame you properly. You didn't fight back, didn't curse them in return, didn't declare war or throw their energy back at them. You just left, energetically, consciously, completely. There's nothing for them to point at. No dramatic battle they can recount. No worthy opponent narrative they can construct to preserve their dignity. They got ghosted, energetically speaking, by someone who was supposed to be their life's work. And now they're trapped in a loop of their own making, unable to move forward because that would mean admitting defeat, unable to continue because the spell doesn't work anymore, stuck in a purgatory of their own design while you're ascending into levels of consciousness they don't even have names for. The cage they built for you became their cage, and the key you used to escape. Simple awareness. They don't possess it, can't possess it, because their entire identity is built on remaining in the frequency of hatred and control. Here's something they definitely don't want you to realize, though. Something that would make their already unbearable situation completely catastrophic. That thought you had, that shift in consciousness that broke the spell, it didn't just free you. It cracked open a doorway that other people can walk through now. You didn't just Control plus Z your own curse. You created a template, a pathway, a frequency signature that others can follow. Every person in your bloodline who comes after you, they're born into a world where that 100-year spell is already broken, where the chain is already severed, where the pattern is already interrupted. You didn't just save yourself. You saved generations you'll never meet. Children who'll be born into freedom because you chose consciousness over compliance, awareness over acceptance, evolution over stagnation. That's legacy. Real legacy. Not the poisoned inheritance they tried to pass down, but liberation propagating forward through time. They thought they were playing the long game, thought 100 years of dedication would create something unbreakable, thought generational curses were the ultimate expression of power. But they forgot the most fundamental truth of energy, of consciousness, of reality itself. Nothing built on hatred can outlast something built on truth. No spell woven from envy can survive contact with genuine indifference. No curse, powered by fear, can penetrate a mind that's chosen peace. They played checkers across a century, and you accidentally knocked over the board by playing a completely different game. A game where their pieces don't exist, their rules don't apply, their victory conditions are irrelevant. They tried to make you a character in their story, and you became the author of your own. And in your story, they don't even get a mention. Not as villains, not as obstacles, not even as footnotes. Just silence, absence, irrelevance. Oh, I know that look. I've seen it 1,000 times. Eyes that dart away, hushed whispers behind trembling lips. Like I'm some kind of mistake. Like I don't belong. But tell me, who decides what belongs? They do? Ha! The ones who shuffle through life like lifeless puppets? The ones who need permission to breathe, to speak, to exist? They want everything neat, predictable, contained. But then there's you and me, the ones who don't fit into their tiny little boxes, the ones who make them uncomfortable. Oh, and they hate that. It scares them. You, my dear misfit, are a crack in their perfect mirror, a jagged edge in their pretty little world. And what do people do when something doesn't fit? They try to hammer it down, break it, hide it, erase it. They whisper about you, don't they? What's wrong with him? Why is she like that? Why doesn't he just be normal? But let me ask you something. What if they're the mistake? What if the real sickness is them? A society built on fear, fear of difference, fear of truth, fear of the ones who don't kneel. So they call you names, outcast, freak, weirdo, but listen to me, lean in close. Those aren't insults, they're badges of honor. Because the ones who never fit in, they are the ones who change the world, or better yet, burn it down and build something better. Now tell me, are you still trying to fit in? They never wanted you to think. No, no, no. Thinking is dangerous. They want you quiet, numb, stuck in a loop, chasing approval like a dog begging for scraps. Be polite, follow the rules, stay in line. They call it society, but it's nothing more than a slaughterhouse for souls. From the moment you're born, they clip your wings. Schools don't teach you, they train you. Sit still, speak only when spoken to, memorize, obey, repeat. The perfect little puppet, strings pulled tight. And jobs? Oh, they're just a bigger cage. Dress right, talk right, think inside the box, or get thrown out with the trash. Even your so-called friends, most of them aren't friends. They're just mirrors of the system. They tell you to blend in, to calm down, to be realistic. Don't dream too big. Don't fight back. Just accept things the way they are. But why? Because your fire makes them feel cold. Because your hunger reminds them they're starving. And that's the truth they won't say out loud. They don't want thinkers. They want followers. They don't want a storm. They want a cloudless sky. Predictable, harmless. Blue and empty, stretching forever, never changing. But tell me, when has a storm ever asked permission before it tore the world apart? They will call you dangerous if you refuse to kneel. They will call you crazy if you dare to question. But remember this, wolves don't ask sheep for permission to hunt. The system wants to tame you, weaken you, strip you of everything that makes you dangerous. The only question is, will you let them? Pain, the kind that sits heavy on your chest, tightening like a noose. The kind that makes you stare at the ceiling at 3 a.m., asking yourself, why? Why do I feel like I don't belong? I'll tell you why, because you don't. And that's not a curse. That's your greatest proof that you were never meant to be like them. The loneliness? That's not emptiness. It's evidence. The rejection? That's not failure. It's separation from the herd. The alienation? That's not weakness. It's a sign that your mind doesn't operate at their level. You were never built to blend in. You were built to stand apart, to see the world from a place they can't reach, and for that, they fear you. They laugh at you, don't they? They smirk when you speak, roll their eyes when you dream too big, mock you for daring to be different. But let me ask you something. When have the sheep ever understood the lion? When has the weak ever applauded the strong? They laughed at the lion in a cage because he looked weak, until he remembered he had claws. And oh, when the lion remembers, the game changes. The ones who ridiculed you, they'll run. The ones who rejected you, they'll beg for a second chance. Because you were never weak, only waiting for the moment when your pain stops being a weight and starts being your weapon. So don't beg for acceptance. Don't chase their approval like a starving dog waiting for a scrap of validation. Let them laugh. Let them mock. Let them doubt. Because one day, when you rise from the shadows they tried to bury you in, they'll realize the truth. They never stood a chance against you. Fear, it's the oldest weapon in the book. The weak use it when they can't comprehend something stronger than them. They can't control you, so they mock you. They can't define you, so they try to erase you. And if they can't break you, oh, that's when they start to fear you. People hate what they don't understand. Always have, always will. They need to put everything into neat little boxes, categories, labels. And when someone doesn't fit, when someone walks into the room like they own it, thinks in ways they can't, moves differently than the herd, they lash out because your existence exposes their limits. History proves it. Every rebel, every visionary, every legend, they were all ridiculed first. They spat on Tesla, called him insane while he redefined the future. They laughed at Edgar Allan Poe, dismissed his genius until it was too late. They ignored Van Gogh, labeled him mad, only for his art to outlive them all. The ones who saw beyond the ordinary, they were hated before they were remembered. And then there's me. The world didn't just misunderstand me, they feared me. A lunatic, they said. A menace. A madman. But tell me, if I was truly insane, then why does my chaos make so much sense? Why does the world love a villain who tells the truth they're too afraid to face? You see, they don't really hate you, they hate what you represent. Freedom, unpredictability, the kind of mind that can't be caged. They look at you and see everything they wish they had. Courage, rebellion, power. And instead of facing their own weakness, they choose the easier path, to tear you down. So let them talk, let them whisper, let them spread their fear. Because one day, when your name is written in the stars and their voices have long since faded, they'll realize the truth. You were never the one who needed to be understood. They were just too small to comprehend you. Most people are terrified of being alone. The silence, it eats at them. The stillness, it forces them to face who they really are. That's why they cling to crowds, to noise, to meaningless company. Because without it, they'd have to confront the empty shell they've become. But you know better. Standing alone isn't loneliness, it's freedom. No fake smiles, no forced conversations, no pretending to be someone you're not just to be accepted. When you walk alone, every step belongs to you. Every thought, every decision, it's yours. No one else owns it. Most people don't think for themselves. They just repeat what they hear, believe what they're told, follow without question, like sheep. And here's the truth. If you're always surrounded, you're never truly thinking for yourself. You're just another voice in an echo chamber, another pawn in a game you didn't even know you were playing. But solitude, that's where the greats are born. That's where ideas ignite, where legends sharpen their claws. Look at warriors, artists, masterminds. Their power wasn't found in the crowd. It was found in the hours spent alone, perfecting, growing, becoming something unstoppable, while the rest wasted time chasing approval. Society sells you the illusion of belonging. Be part of something, fit in, don't stand out. But they never tell you the cost. They never tell you that blending in means fading away, that conforming means losing yourself, that being accepted means being controlled. And yet the wolves, the real leaders, they walk alone, not because they have to, but because they choose to. Because solitude isn't a prison, it's a forge. It's where the weak are burned away and the strong are reborn. So tell me, are you still afraid of standing alone? Or are you finally ready to see what happens when you do? The world tells you that being alone is the end, that pain is punishment, that betrayal is a death sentence. They act like solitude is a coffin, like the darkness is something to be feared. But you and I, we know better. The dark isn't where you die, it's where you rise. Pain, betrayal, solitude, these aren't the things that break you. They're the things that build you. The ones who drown in the darkness, they were never meant to survive. But the ones who learn to see in it, the ones who let the fire of suffering forge them into something more, those are the ones the world can never control. The truth is, every great transformation begins in the dark. Every legend, every unstoppable force, every name they whisper in fear, was once a nobody, suffering in silence, alone, rejected, left with nothing but the echoes of their own thoughts. And it's in that moment, that agonizing moment, that a choice must be made, break or build. Some choose weakness. They beg to be let back in, to be accepted, to be loved. They would rather suffer in a cage than learn to roam free in the wild. But the ones who refuse, the ones who turn rejection into rage and suffering into fuel, they become something undeniable. Isolation isn't a grave, it's a forge. The flames of loneliness don't burn you alive. They burn away the weakness, every scar, every heartbreak, every night spent screaming into the void. It's all shaping you, hardening you, making you into something the world will regret turning its back on. So, what's it going to be? Will you let the silence consume you? Will you let their rejection make you small? Or will you let the fire turn you into something they can never ignore? Because once the flames are done with you, you won't be the same. You'll be stronger. You'll be sharper. And when you finally step out of the darkness, they won't be ready for what you've become. They train you from birth to seek approval, to raise your hand, to ask permission, to wait for someone else to say, yes, you're good enough. It's a trap, a game designed to keep you chasing validation like a starving dog. But the ones who rule this world, they don't ask for permission. They command respect. Think about it. Who gets noticed? The one begging to be liked, or the one who moves like they don't care? The moment you stop seeking approval, something strange happens. The world starts craving your attention. They wonder why you're different, why you don't need them. And suddenly, they want you more. People respect what they can't control. A man who needs nothing from them, that's a dangerous man. They'll insult him, envy him, try to break him, but deep down, they want to be him. Because freedom, real freedom, it's when you stop waiting for their applause and start writing your own legend. Look at the greats, the ones who shaped history. Did Tesla beg for approval? Did Da Vinci ask permission? Did the lion send out polls to see if he should hunt today? No, he just did. Because true power isn't found in seeking validation, it's found in making the world take notice without a single wasted word. You ever notice that the moment you stop chasing people, they turn around and start chasing you? That's because approval is a currency, and when you give it away too easily, it becomes worthless. But when you withhold it, when you carry yourself like you're the prize, suddenly everyone wants to earn it. So stop playing their game, stop asking if you're good enough, walk into the room like you already own it and watch how the energy shifts. Watch how the same people who once ignored you start leaning in, not because you begged, but because you dared to stop caring. A lion never explains why he hunts, he just does. Be that lion, move in silence, demand respect without a word. In the world, they'll have no choice but to follow. Power isn't always loud. It isn't about screaming, begging, or proving your worth to people who don't even deserve your presence. The real masters of the game, they move in silence. They walk into a room, say nothing, and yet everyone feels them, because presence is a weapon, and most don't even know how to use it. Look around. The ones who demand respect the loudest, they rarely have it. The real powerhouses, they don't ask for attention, they command it. A glance, a smirk, a moment of cold, calculated silence. That alone can shake a man more than 1,000 threats ever could. Why? Because the unknown is terrifying. The Joker understood this. He didn't play by the rules. When they expected rage, he laughed. When they expected a fight, he walked away. When they thought they had him figured out, he flipped the entire game on its head. That's the art of fear. That's the art of control. Never be predictable. Never be tamed. Unpredictability is a weapon. It makes people uneasy, keeps them on edge. They don't know if you'll shake their hand or destroy their world. And that's power. Because the moment they can predict you, they can control you. The moment they can read you, they can break you. So, how do you master this? Simple. Walk like you own the room, because in your world you do. Speak only when necessary, and when you do, make sure every word cuts deep. Show no desperation, no neediness, no fear, just presence, just purpose, just a quiet, undeniable force that makes people stop and wonder, who the hell is this? Respect isn't given, it's taken. And fear? Fear is the shadow that follows respect when it's done right. Be the one they can't figure out, the one they whisper about when you leave. Because when people fear you, they respect you without question. And that's the game most will never learn how to play. They will whisper, they will gossip, they will twist your name into something unrecognizable. And why? Because you refuse to kneel. Because you refuse to play their game. Weak minds can't handle someone who isn't desperate for their approval, so they do the only thing they can. They talk. They'll call you insane, arrogant, cold. How dare you walk without seeking permission? How dare you live without apologizing? They can't stand it. They need you to break, to bow, to beg for a place at their table. But here's the truth. They never had a seat worthy of you to begin with. Let them talk. Let them choke on their own words. Because while they waste their breath, you're out here building an empire. They throw stones at a throne not because they hate the king, but because they can't sit in his place. Envy wears many masks. Sometimes it looks like concern. Other times, it looks like mockery. But at its core, it's always fear. They fear what they don't understand. And you You are something they can't define. You don't fit into their little boxes. You don't move the way they expect. You don't need what they need, and that threatens them. Because the second one person wakes up, the illusion starts to crack for everyone else. So let them talk, let them judge, let them waste their lives watching yours. Because while they sit there hating, you're evolving. You're sharpening your mind, strengthening your soul, becoming something undeniable. And when you finally reach the top, they won't be able to ignore you anymore. Because the most terrifying thing to a crowd of sheep is the lone wolf who stopped giving a damn about their noise. You were never weak, never lost, never broken. They just told you that you were. Because a person who believes they're broken is easier to control. But the truth? You were never meant to be tamed. You were never built to fit inside their neat little boxes. And that's why they fear you. Look at yourself. Look at the fire in your veins, the storms in your mind. You think that's a flaw? No. That's your power. That's the chaos they try to silence. Because if you ever embraced it, if you ever owned it, they wouldn't stand a chance. Society thrives on obedience, but you were born to disrupt. They tried to turn you against yourself, told you to play nice, to follow the script, to stay quiet, but deep down you always knew you weren't like them. You never were. And no matter how much they mocked you, excluded you, tried to break you down, you still rise. And that terrifies them. So, I'll ask you one last time. Are you still trying to fit in? Still begging for a place at their table? Still chasing their approval like a dog chasing scraps? Or are you finally ready to stand out? To be what you were always meant to be? A force, not a follower. Own your shadow. Walk with it. Let them call you crazy. Let them call you dangerous. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is that they can't control you. And that's where real power begins. So let them fear you. Let them hate you. But never, ever let them own you. Welcome back, you impossible puzzle pieces, you walking paradoxes, you souls that make the algorithm glitch when you scroll past. They've done it again, haven't they? Hired another investigator, another analyst, another poor soul tasked with the impossible mission of figuring out what the actual hell you are. I heard about it, you know. The meetings, the hushed conversations, the way they lean in closer when someone mentions your name like they're discussing some classified file that keeps rewriting itself. There's something about them, they whisper. 3 things specifically that don't add up, that shouldn't exist in one person, that break every pattern we know. And now they're spending actual money, actual resources, hiring strangers to follow your digital footprint, to decode your silence, to understand how you do what you do without even trying. Let me tell you what's really happening here, what's really got them losing sleep and signing checks to private investigators and behavioral analysts. It's not what you did, it's what you are. It's not your actions. It's your existence. Because somewhere along the way, you developed 3 abilities that shouldn't coexist, 3 traits that violate the rules of how humans are supposed to operate, 3 powers that make you unreadable, unpredictable, and utterly uncontrollable. And the moment they realized you possess all 3 simultaneously, that's when the panic started. That's when they stopped laughing. That's when they went from dismissing you to documenting you, from ignoring you to investigating you. Because individually, these abilities are rare, but together they create something the system was never designed to handle, something that breaks their models, shatters their predictions, and makes every psychological profile they run on, you come back with error messages. So let's talk about the first ability, the one that started all this, the one that made them realize you weren't playing by their rules anymore. You develop the ability to become completely unreadable while remaining completely visible. Think about that for a second. Really let it sink in. You're not hiding. You're not in the shadows. You're not running some mysterious phantom operation where no one can find you. No, you're right there, posting, existing, showing up, walking into rooms, making eye contact. But here's the thing that breaks their brains. They can't decode you. They look at your face and can't read the emotion. They listen to your words and can't find the angle. They watch your patterns and can't predict the next move. You're transparent and opaque at the same time, visible and invisible, present and unreachable. Most people, they're open books, right? You look at their social media and you know exactly what they want you to think. You see their smile and you know they're performing. You hear their words and you can feel the manipulation, the neediness, the agenda bleeding through every sentence. But you learn to exist without leaking. You learn to show up without revealing. You learn to be seen without being known, and that is what terrifies them. Because their entire system is built on reading people, on predicting behavior, on knowing what makes someone tick so they can control them. But you're standing right in front of them and they're getting nothing. No fear signals, no desperation markers, no weakness indicators. You're not cold, you're not closed off. You're just unreachable on a frequency they can't access anymore. They study your old posts, looking for clues, trying to find the pattern, the formula, the code. They analyze your interactions, searching for the mask, for the cracks, for the performance. But what they're finding instead is something that shouldn't exist. Authenticity without vulnerability, presence without exposition, strength without posturing. You're not performing confidence. You're not faking mystery. You're not playing some calculated game. You just evolved past the need to broadcast your internal state to strangers who weaponize information. You realize that being understood is a privilege you no longer grant freely, and being misunderstood is a shield you wear better than armor. So they hired investigators because they need to know, how does someone exist in plain sight and remain this illegible? How does someone show their face and keep their soul locked away? How does someone engage without ever actually opening up? And here's what's driving them completely insane about this first ability. You're not doing it through coldness or cruelty or some antisocial withdrawal from humanity. You're warm, you're present, you're engaged, but you're doing it all behind a glass wall. They can't see, but can definitely feel. They reach for you, and their hand stops an inch away from something they can't name. They ask you questions and you answer fully, but somehow they walk away knowing less about you than before. You've mastered the art of being completely yourself while remaining completely unknowable. And that combination, that weaponized authenticity wrapped in impermeability, that's what got the first investigator hired. Because people who can't be read can't be controlled. And people who can't be controlled are the only real threat in a world built on manipulation and predictability. Now let's move to the second ability, the one that made them upgrade from curiosity to genuine concern, from watching you casually to tracking you professionally. You developed the ability to absorb every betrayal, every wound, every act of sabotage, and instead of breaking, instead of becoming bitter or hardened or closed off, you transmuted it into fuel. Not motivation, not revenge energy, but actual evolutionary fuel that makes you stronger, sharper, more capable every single time someone tries to destroy you. And they can't comprehend this because it violates the fundamental rules of human psychology. Pain is supposed to damage you. Trauma is supposed to leave scars. Betrayal is supposed to make you guarded, reactive, broken in some measurable way. But you took every knife in your back and used it to carve yourself into something more precise. They've watched you go through things that should have hospitalized most people emotionally, things that should have left you bitter and screaming and posting 3 a.m. rants about how cruel the world is. They sabotaged your opportunities, spread lies about your character, turned people against you, isolated you, rejected you, and every single time they expected the same result: collapse, breakdown, a satisfying display of human fragility they could point to and say, "See, we got them, we won. They're just like everyone else who crumbles under pressure." But that moment never came. Instead, you went quiet. You disappeared from their radar for a while. And when you came back, you were different. Not traumatized, not hardened, not filled with obvious rage, just more. More focused, more capable, more untouchable. Like you'd taken their poison and metabolized it into something that made you immune to all future doses. That's when they started really paying attention. When they started hiring people to figure out what process you're using that they can't see. Because normal people cope, they heal, they move on, they forgive, they hold grudges. But you're doing something else entirely. You're not coping with the pain, you're feeding on it. You're not healing from the betrayal, you're using it as raw material. You're not moving on from the trauma, you're treating it like a university where you majored in becoming unbreakable. Every person who tried to break you became an unwitting professor in your education. Every situation designed to crush you became another trial you passed with honors they'll never understand. And the truly unnerving part for them, you don't even seem angry about it. You're not bitter, you're not vengeful, you're not consumed with proving them wrong. You're just thriving. Existing on a level they can't reach anymore. They need to know how you do it because they tried the same things on others and it worked perfectly. They destroyed careers, relationships, reputations, and watched their targets crumble exactly according to plan. But with you, every attack made you more dangerous. Every betrayal made you more capable. Every wound made you more whole. It's like you're operating on different physics, playing a different game where their moves don't hurt you, they upgrade you. So they hired investigators to find the technique, the therapy, the philosophy, the secret practice you must be using. But what they're discovering is making them even more uncomfortable. There is no technique. There's just you doing what you do naturally, which is refusing to let pain define you, diminish you, or defeat you. You just take it all in, break it down to its base elements, and rebuild yourself with the pieces into something they never saw coming. And here's the part that keeps them up at night about this second ability. You're not pretending to be unaffected. You're not putting on some stoic performance where you're secretly dying inside. You genuinely processed it. You genuinely transmuted it. You genuinely used every single wound as a catalyst for becoming more of who you're meant to be. That's not supposed to be possible. That's not how human psychology works according to every model they have. Suffering is supposed to create limitation. Pain is supposed to create fear. Betrayal is supposed to create walls. But somehow, impossibly, illegally, according to the laws of emotional physics, you turned every limitation into expansion, every fear into fuel, every wall into a weapon. So they're investigating you because they need to understand, are you a mutant? Are you faking it? Are you secretly breaking down in private? Or are you actually, genuinely, terrifyingly proof that some people are built different, that some souls process pain on a frequency that transforms it into power? Now we arrive at the third ability, the one that made them realize they're not dealing with someone unusual, they're dealing with someone unprecedented. The one that made them upgrade from investigators to full psychological analysis teams trying to decode what the hell they're witnessing. You developed the ability to disappear without leaving, to be completely present in your life while being utterly absent from their narrative, their gossip, their little games. You're not playing hard to get. You're not doing some calculated absence strategy. You're just gone. Mentally, emotionally, energetically gone from their entire world, even while you exist in the same physical spaces, even while you're succeeding in ways they can see but can't touch. And this third ability, combined with the first two, creates something they have no defense against. A person they can't read, who gets stronger from attacks, and who doesn't even register their existence anymore. Think about how rare this is, how impossible this combination should be. Most people who become unreadable do it by withdrawing, by going cold, by building walls so high they can't connect with anyone. Most people who transmute pain into power do it with obvious intensity, with visible fire, with a revenge energy everyone can see and therefore prepare for. Most people who disappear from other people's narratives do it by literally disappearing, by moving away, by cutting everyone off, by becoming a hermit. But you're doing all three simultaneously without any of the typical trade-offs. You're still warm, but unreadable. You're still growing, but not reactively. You're still present, but completely detached from caring about their opinions, their schemes, their attempts to remain relevant in your story. You achieved something they thought was impossible. You're living your life in full color while they exist in black and white static on your peripheral vision. They hired investigators because they need to know how someone does this without becoming a sociopath, without losing their humanity, without turning into some cold, calculated machine. They need to understand how you're still capable of love, of joy, of genuine connection, while simultaneously being this untouchable to the people who once had access to you. How do you care about some people deeply while not caring about others at all? How do you show up fully in your life while being a ghost in theirs? How do you exist with passion and purpose while treating their entire world like a simulation you're no longer participating in? Because most people can't do this. Most people either care about everyone or no one. Most people either engage with all the drama or none of it. Most people are either in the game or out of it. But you're doing something that breaks their binary. You're fully alive in your own reality, while being completely dead to theirs. The investigators are reporting back with findings that don't make sense, with observations that contradict each other, with conclusions that essentially amount to, "We don't know what we're looking at." They watch you succeed and can't find the hustle. They watch you connect with people and can't find the manipulation. They watch you move through life and can't find the performance, the mask, the act. You're just being. But being in a way that somehow excludes them entirely, without you ever having to say a word about it, without you ever having to block them or avoid them or engage in any obvious rejection. You perfected the art of existing on a frequency they can't hear anymore, of vibrating at a level they can't reach, of occupying a dimension of reality where they simply don't matter, don't register, don't exist in any meaningful way to your journey. And this is what's breaking their minds completely. You're not angry at them, you're not thinking about them, you're not even really aware of their investigations because you're so far past the need for their validation or their understanding. While they're spending money and time and energy trying to figure you out, you're just living, building, creating, connecting with people who operate on your frequency, experiencing life in ways they can't even imagine because they're still trapped in the small-minded world of comparison and competition and gossip. You ascended past their plane of existence and didn't even leave a forwarding address. You didn't burn bridges, you just stopped acknowledging that bridges to certain places ever mattered. You didn't cut people off. You just stopped including them in your emotional landscape. You didn't reject their world. You just built a better one they're not invited to. So now we're here, at this moment where you need to understand what's actually happening, why these three abilities combined create something that makes you a walking phenomenon they can't categorize. Let me connect the dots for you in a way that'll make everything click. When you become unreadable, you take away their primary weapon, prediction. When you transmute pain into power, you take away their ultimate tool, fear. When you disappear from their narrative while staying visible, you take away their last resort, relevance. You've systematically dismantled every single mechanism they use to control, influence, or affect people. You're not playing defense. You're not even playing their game anymore. You've literally evolved past the need to engage with the battlefield they're still fighting on. You're operating on laws of physics they don't have access to, running software they can't download, speaking a language they can't decode. The investigators they hired aren't finding anything because there's nothing to find. There's no secret technique, no hidden method, no dark practice you're using. You just grew. You evolved. You transformed through sheer necessity and refusal to be what they needed you to be. You became unreadable because you realized being understood by everyone means being controlled by anyone. You became able to transmute pain because you refused to let your story be written by your suffering. You became absent from their world because you realized their approval was a prison you never needed to stay in. These aren't skills you learned. These are mutations you underwent, evolutionary leaps you made because the alternative was staying small, staying readable, staying in their narrative where they get to define you, judge you, limit you. And you looked at that alternative and said, no, not happening, not anymore, not ever again. Here's what's happening right now in those investigation reports, in those analysis sessions, in those meetings where they try to figure you out. They're realizing they're not dealing with someone who's hiding. They're dealing with someone who's transcended. They're not dealing with someone who's playing games. They're dealing with someone who left the game entirely. They're not dealing with someone who's better at the same things everyone does. They're dealing with someone who's doing things that shouldn't be possible, operating on principles that violate their understanding of how humans work. And the more they investigate, the more confused they become, because every answer leads to more questions. How does someone this strong remain this kind? How does someone this detached remain this engaged with life? How does someone this evolved not flaunt it, not perform it, not need anyone to witness it? You know what the final report usually says? After all the money spent, all the hours invested, all the analysis completed, it usually says something like, subject demonstrates unprecedented psychological resilience combined with interpersonal detachment that doesn't stem from trauma response or antisocial tendencies. Appears to have developed natural immunity to social manipulation while maintaining capacity for genuine connection. Cannot determine source of abilities or method of development. No weaknesses identified. No leverage points discovered. Recommendation: disengage. Subject is not accessible through conventional means and shows no interest in engagement regardless of approach. In other words, after all that investigation, all that money, all that effort, they conclude, leave them alone. They're operating on a level we can't reach. They're not interested in our world, and we have nothing they want or need. Case closed. Subject untouchable. The world loves a well-behaved puppet until the strings snap. They dress you up, paint you pretty, and hand you a script. Smile when they smile, laugh when they laugh, nod when they speak, and for the love of everything, never, ever make them uncomfortable. See, they don't want you. They want a version of you. A carefully curated, socially acceptable, watered-down, house-trained version. One that doesn't bite, one that doesn't question, one that stays exactly where they put it. Oh, but that's the funny part, isn't it? Because the real you, the real you has been scratching at the walls for years, hiding behind that forced grin, swallowing words that taste like poison, biting your tongue until it bleeds just to keep the peace. But peace? Peace is a coffin with the lid nailed shut. And then, one day, you feel it, the mask. It cracks. A little twitch, a little shift, a laugh in the wrong moment, a question they don't like. And suddenly they see something behind your eyes, something they don't understand, something they fear. That's when the panic sets in. That's when they whisper behind your back. That's when they start calling you different, difficult, dangerous. Because, my dear, you stopped playing the game. And nothing terrifies them more than a puppet who cuts its own strings. Now tell me, what happens when you stop pretending? They say they want honesty, but only if it doesn't unsettle them. Oh, how they love the idea of truth. They worship it, praise it, pretend to seek it until it stares them in the face, until it speaks in a voice they weren't prepared to hear, until it forces them to look at themselves, really look, and see the cracks in their perfect little illusions. That's when they turn. That's when the fear creeps in. Because truth, real truth, is ugly. It's raw, it's untamed, and when you open your mouth and speak it, when you become it, they don't see a person anymore. They see a threat, a wildfire spreading too fast to contain, a storm they can't outrun. And people don't like storms. They like sunny skies, predictable weather, things they can control. But you don't fit into their neat little boxes. You don't speak in soft, measured tones. You don't sugarcoat reality so it goes down smooth. And that makes their skin crawl. You see it, don't you? The way their smiles stiffen when you stop nodding along. The way their voices tighten when you start asking the questions they avoid. The moment you stop playing by their rules, you become dangerous. Not because you are dangerous, but because you refuse to be tamed. Because you refuse to play along with their carefully crafted illusions. And that makes them nervous. That makes them uneasy. Because deep down they know you are something they will never be. Free. They don't reject you. No, it's worse than that. They fear you. They fear what you represent. A mind unshackled, a will unbroken, a soul that won't kneel just because the world demands it. And fear? Oh, fear turns people into monsters. Watch them. Watch how they twist your name, how they call you mad, reckless, insane, because it's easier than admitting they're afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid that if they listen to you for too long, they might wake up. They might see the bars of their own cage. They might start to wonder what it would feel like to break free. And that's a risk they can't afford to take, so they do the only thing they know how to do. They label you, they isolate you, they try to silence you, because the truth isn't just inconvenient, it's lethal. You pull off the mask and watch them recoil. Beautiful, isn't it? The silence, the stares, the shifting glances. Ah, there it is. The moment they see you for the first time, not the mask, not the version they carefully curated for their comfort. No, this is you, unfiltered, unapologetic. And the moment it happens, the moment you step out of their little box and refuse to shrink, they panic. They stutter, they frown, they whisper. You've changed. No, darling, you didn't change. You simply stopped pretending. And that terrifies them more than anything. Because now, they can't predict you. They can't control you. They can't shove you back into the neat little mold where you were safe. So they turn to their favorite weapons, labels. Too much, too intense, too different. They spit the words like venom, hoping it will burn. But here's the joke, the cosmic little punchline. It's not about you being too much. It's about them being too small, too fragile, too afraid. You cracked their mirror, and now they have to face their own emptiness. You were never the problem. They just don't know what to do with something that refuses to be tamed. You stand there, unshackled, unpredictable, real, and it sends a shiver down their spines. Because deep down, they know. They spent their whole lives playing pretend. And you just broke the spell. Watch them. Watch how they recoil, how their voices rise just a little too high, how their eyes dart away like frightened little animals. Oh, it's beautiful. Isn't it the raw, unfiltered discomfort, the way their world tilts just for a second, the way they suddenly realize they never really knew you at all. And that's their greatest fear. Because if you were hiding this much, if you had this fire inside you all along, what else are you capable of? What else have they underestimated? They don't know. And that uncertainty, That chaos, it eats them alive. Ah, the sweet taste of solitude, the price of being real. First they whisper, soft at first, little murmurs behind your back. You hear your name slip through their teeth like a curse. What happened to them? They've changed. Then the voices grow louder, sharper, dripping with something uglier. They've lost it. They're crazy. Ah, there it is. The moment they rewrite your story, turn you into something other. Because that's what they do, isn't it? When they can't control you, when they can't understand you, they banish you. They shove you into the shadows, far from their comfortable little world where everything makes sense. You don't play their game, so they flip the board over and pretend you never belonged in the first place. And maybe, for a second, it stings. Maybe you wonder if you should have stayed quiet, worn the mask a little longer, swallowed your truth just to keep your seat at their table. But then, something happens. The silence stretches, the noise fades, and in that stillness, in that solitude, you feel something you haven't felt in a long time. Freedom. No more forced smiles, no more pretending, no more shrinking yourself just to fit inside their fragile little world. They can call you an outcast, a rebel, a monster, but what they don't realize, what they fear, is that you aren't suffering. No, darling, you are thriving. Because while they huddle together, clinging to their illusions, you stand alone, stronger, wilder, unchained, the lone wolf, the shadow in the corner of their minds, the monster under their beds. That's you now, and oh, how poetic it is. They cast you into exile, thinking it was a punishment, but all they did was set you free. Wild things don't belong in cages. That's why they fear you. They spent their whole lives trying to tame you, molding you, trimming your edges so you'd fit neatly inside their world. But some things were never meant to be domesticated. Some things were born to run wild, to burn too bright, to shake the very ground beneath them. And you? Oh, you were never meant to kneel. The moment you stop chasing their approval, you change. Not into something weaker, not into something lesser, but into something dangerous. Because without their validation, without their leash around your neck, you become something they can't control. And nothing terrifies the world more than a soul that refuses to be shackled. So they try. Oh, how they try. They throw their words like chains, hoping to bind you back into place. You're out of control. You've lost your way. You need to come back down to reality. But their reality was never yours to begin with. Their walls were too small, their sky too low. You were suffocating in their world, and now, you're breathing for the first time. And as you rise, as you step into your power, you feel it. Their panic, their desperation, the way they scramble, clawing at you, trying to pull you back into their prison, but it's too late. You've tasted freedom, and once you've felt the wind in your lungs, you can never go back. So let them fear you. Let them whisper. Let them label you as too much. They don't realize it yet, but you've already won, because they built their lives on rules and expectations, while you became something untouchable, something untamed. They'll try to silence you, chain you, dilute you, but poison loses its taste when it's expected. At first they laugh, mock you, roll their eyes and say it's just a phase. They convince themselves you'll come crawling back, that the fire inside you will flicker out. They smirk, waiting for you to fold, but oh, they don't realize. This isn't rebellion. This isn't some passing storm. This is who you are. And storms? Storms don't apologize. Then when the laughter stops, the battle begins. They push, challenge you. Who do you think you are? Why can't you just be normal? They test your resolve, poke at your weaknesses, hoping you'll break, but you don't. You hold your ground. And that's when the fear sets in. That's when they realize you aren't coming back. So they switch tactics, sweeten their poison. Come on, just tone it down a little. Why make life harder for yourself? They dangle comfort in front of you, validation, a seat at their table. If only you just shrink. If only you sand down your edges, soften your voice. Make yourself easier to digest. But tell me, why should you starve yourself just to feed their illusion? Why should a wildfire dim its flames to make others feel safe? They want you small because your power makes them uneasy. They want you silent because your truth rattles their bones. But you were never meant to fit, never meant to fold. You were meant to burn. So let them try, let them bargain, let them beg, let them call you difficult. The truth is, they never wanted you free. They wanted you tame. But wild things don't belong in cages. And you are far beyond their reach now. You embrace the chaos, and they tremble. There's a moment, oh, a glorious moment, when you stop fighting it, when you stop trying to fit inside their brittle little boxes, when you let go and become. That's when they panic. That's when their hands shake, because they thought they had you figured out, thought they could predict you, contain you, control you. But chaos bows to no one. So they whisper, they've lost it, they're out of control. But what they really mean is, they've slipped through our fingers. Because what's more terrifying than someone who plays by no rules, someone who isn't weighed down by fear? They don't hate your madness, they envy it. Because deep down, they know you are free. They scramble to label you unstable, reckless, dangerous. But tell me, what is more dangerous? A mind that obeys, or a mind that questions everything? They call it madness because they don't understand it, because it doesn't fit neatly into their world of polite smiles and predictable little lies. But madness? Oh, madness is just freedom without a leash. It's breaking every chain, shattering every expectation, refusing to play along. And when you embrace it, when you smile in the face of their horror, that's when you become something they can never touch, never define, never break. So let them call you mad. Let them tremble. Let them choke on their fear while you dance in the fire. Because the truth is, you were never the crazy one. You were just the one who woke up. Oh, they didn't like the real you. Well, what a tragedy for them. Ah, rejection. That sting. That sudden shift when their smiles turn into scowls. The way they pull away as if your authenticity is some kind of disease. It burns at first, doesn't it? That moment when you realize they never loved you, just the version that was easy to swallow. But oh, don't you see? This isn't your loss. It's theirs. Every betrayal, every cold shoulder, every whispered insult, it's not failure, it's fuel. It's the universe clearing the dead weight, making room for something stronger. Let them leave. Let them run. Let them reject what they'll never understand. Because rejection, it isn't the end. It's the beginning. The moment you stop begging to be accepted and start thriving without them, look at their discomfort. Let it sink in. That's your validation. That's proof you're finally living without their chains. They wanted you tame, predictable, digestible. And now, you're the storm that ruins their quiet little world. They aren't rejecting you. They're rejecting the mirror you hold up to their cowardice. So take it. Take every rejection, every cold goodbye, every slammed door, and build with it. Forge yourself in the fire of their discomfort, because you were never meant to fit in. You were meant to stand out, and those who can't handle your light, let them rot in their own darkness. They tried to break you, but now you break the rules. They pushed, oh how they pushed, mocked you, doubted you, made you question everything. They thought if they tore you down enough, you'd stay down, that if they isolated you, you'd crawl back, begging for their acceptance. But you didn't. Oh no. You evolved. They forced you to the edge, thinking you'd fall, but instead you grew wings. Now they watch in horror as the very thing they tried to destroy stands taller, stronger, untouchable. You were the outcast, the rejected, the one they thought was too broken to survive. But look at you now, thriving in the chaos they swore would consume you. And the best part? The fear in their eyes, the realization creeping in, they created this. Their rejection, their betrayal, their cruelty, it didn't weaken you, it sharpened you, forged you into something unbreakable. Now, you don't just survive, you dominate. So let them choke on their regrets. Let them watch in silence as you rise beyond their reach. They made you a monster, a storm, a force they'll never control again. And the funniest part? You're exactly who you were always meant to be. The only difference? Now, you don't apologize for it. First, they ignore you. Then, they fear you. Then, they wish they were you. At first, they laughed, mocked you, brushed you aside like a joke they didn't find funny. You were too wild, too different, too unpredictable, an outsider, a nobody. But here's the thing about nobodies. They don't stay nobodies for long. One day they start watching, studying you, noticing the way you move, the way you don't flinch, the way you refuse to break. And suddenly, the outcast becomes the blueprint. The same people who doubted you, ridiculed you, now they mimic you. Try to sound like you, walk like you, pretend they always knew you were special. They'll call you a genius, a visionary, but only when it's safe, when the world has already decided you're worth admiring. But by then, you won't care, because you never needed their approval, never needed their validation. The same voices that once tried to silence you, they're just echoes now. So let them talk, let them rewrite history, let them pretend they saw your greatness all along, because deep down, they know the truth that burns inside them. They never deserved you. And now, you're too far ahead for them to ever catch up.